Understand how set timeout method uses a callback to manage time-consuming tasks without blocking the rest of your code. In this example, we use set timeout to mimic 2-second file download. The callback function finish download only runs once the file is ready. So let's look at the example to understand how it works. So after 2 seconds, it will mimic a file download. So I'll go ahead and click this button so that you see how it works. 1, 2. Now you can see file saved successfully. Let's move on and create this example together. So we've looked at a demo of what we want to build together. So let's go ahead and make it together as we learn about asynchronous operation in JavaScript. Basically, an asynchronous operation is a task that starts now but finishes later. So I'll go ahead now and look at the comments that I have inside my script part. In async programming, the callback is just the function that handles the finished moment. So it ensures that your code only tries to use data after the background task has successfully completed. So in 3 steps, we are going to make this example. The first step is add a button, we'll make the function, and then we'll register the callback. So first thing to do is to add a button. So I will go inside my code output to add a button. The button is going to have a simple text download file. Then what else does this button need? Well, it needs an ID to make it look better. So I'll add an ID to it and call it btn. I already have style for the btn inside my style css, which is this part. So I would zoom back inside my HTML file, and also I want to add an on click. Because it's a button, it needs a click. So it's one of the events that you can attach to a button. And for now, we'll just leave it empty now. So later, when I make my function, I will come and update it. So the next thing that we should do is to make the function that we are going to attach to this button in order to run after a task has been completed. So I'm going to make 2 functions, and the first function is going to be finish download. So what should happen after our initial code has finished running? So I would document get element by ID demo. The ID of my code space dot inner HTML is equal to status, because it's a string, so I need that double quote. File saved successfully. So here is my first function. Then I can make the second function, and I will name it start process. That is, this is what should happen initially when this button is clicked, and once it is done, then it should call the other function and then load it. So for the start process as well, I'm going to document.get element by ID, because I want to add some inner HTML document in order to manipulate the content, and call it status. Downloading. So now I have 2 functions. One is to start process and the other one is to end the process. If I click on download file now, nothing is going to happen. In order to make that button work, I need 2 things. The number 1 thing that I need is the place where I want the async operation to occur, which is inside this first function. So the async part. So for this async part, I need a method in order to set what should happen after my file has finished downloading. And that is where set timeout method comes in. So it's one of the methods that I can use for callbacks in JavaScript. So I'll call the method set timeout. And inside it, what am I going to add? So I'm going to add the first function here, that this should be called after the file has finished downloading. And then it should be called after 2 seconds. I will add the timer to it. Now, if I still go ahead and click this button, it still will not do anything yet. And that is because this is a button and it expects a click event, which I have not set. So I will now come back inside my button, and then I've already had an on-click properties. And inside this on-click property, I want to call my function, the start process, to run. And now if I go ahead now and click on this, let's see what happens. You can see 1, 2, file saved successfully. And now after 2 seconds, then we got another display. So what we first had was download file. While you click this, then this will trigger because the start process is attached to it. And once this is done, then it will make a call to this other function and then run it underground silently. So at the idle state, that is at this state here that you can see, the page waits for a user action. What action is it waiting for? A click action. So the button then triggers the start process, changing the status to downloading, and then this is an async timer, which starts a 2-second background countdown. So if I increase this to like 5,000, so the button will take 5,000 before it completes downloading. You can see, start downloading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can see file saved successfully. So the key thing here is that this example is event driven in the sense that the async process will start only when the button is clicked. So if the button is just idle without anything, nothing is going to happen. The async part will only work when you click the button, which is going to happen inside this method that we attach here. So this makes the UI to update twice. Once when the task starts and once when the callback finishes it. So a question that you might want to ask is that, does start process wait for the timer to finish this part? Does it wait for the timer to finish this function that we have here? No. Start process finish its work almost immediately, instantly, after telling the browser to start the timer. So this function that we have here is what wakes up the logic later, and after it has completed the background work, then it will fire up and then return an output. So an analogy would be like putting a load of laundry in the machine and then you start washing, and while the machine is running and washing your clothes, you go do other things. You don't stand there for as long as it takes the machine to complete the washing of your clothes. When the machine now beeps that has completed the washing, then you come back to move the clothes to the dryer. So that exactly is an analogy of how async and callbacks works in asynchronous operations in JavaScript.